And good afternoon, Aaron Smith.
Hi, Jason Thomas. How are you doing today, good sir?
I'm doing very well, very, very well, and looking forward to our conversation today, especially after talking to Tish Johnson last week here on the PWBA podcast. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and today's guest on episode 40, so another nice little milestone for us here on the PWBA podcast.
We turned 40.
We turned 40, that's right. And we will be welcoming PWBA and USBC Hall of Famer Robin Romeo to the show. So let's get right to it and bring Robin in and start catching up.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Robin.
How you doing?
We're doing very well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to this.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to catch our last show with Tish?
I saw a little bit. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see a little bit.
Okay, so you were one of the 7 people that actually watched it.
Yeah, it was I don't know.
No, actually, that was one of the most highly watched episodes. I mean, Tish is, so popular that people just loved, hearing from her. And I think we could have talked for about a week with Tish.
I'm sure she has a lot of stories.
It was definitely some good stuff. But Robin, what's been new with you? I know things are still a little rough on the bowling side in California, but how have you guys been handling the pandemic the past few months?
Well, not sure you guys know, but I did move to Las Vegas
okay.
a year ago May, and so we built a new house, and we've been very busy, remodeling and doing things. And but my mom had a stroke a year ago, January, and we moved her in with us. And I have been 100% her caretaker. So when the pandemic hit, it wasn't very different for Tom and I, because we've been very busy with her and doing her rehab. And if anybody out there knows what it's like to be a caretaker or take care of a parent, it takes up a lot of time. So basically that's what I've been doing. I haven't thrown a bowling ball since a year ago, May.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's been an adjustment, but my mom deserves everything that I can give her. And she's been doing great. She is in a wheelchair. She can walk with a walker, but I've been pretty much taking care of her. So that's been our life. So the pandemic hasn't really changed much, because we weren't going out or doing things anyway. And with the new house, we've been busy, trying to, we had her house to unload. And then we had a second home here before we moved into this new house, and then my house in California. So needless to say, we had 2 garages filled with stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure there was a bunch of cool memorabilia from, both, right? I mean, like, your mom has done so many things, and I hope she's doing okay. Like, I know she was always like the sharpest wit and funny person. Is she still able to give you the business?
Yeah, I mean, she that was one of the things that, knock on wood, we were very lucky. Her mind came back pretty quick. I mean, her left side was compromised quite a bit, but her mind, she's still pretty sharp and wise and, very, what do I want to say? She's still the boss, let's say. Even though there's things that she can't do, she has everybody doing things for her. So, but yeah, it's been remarkable to watch how she's progressed. It's been pretty incredible. She actually just turned 88 the other day.
Wow.
So yeah, and so I know she's in the other room with Tom listening. So
okay.
Hi, Mom.
Okay. Well, hi, Joan. I really enjoyed. I got to do Joan's Hall of Fame video, and I really enjoyed the time I got to spend, talking to her and just learning more about her life. And just the amazing kind of career that she had, and the TV commercials, and then working in the movie business, and then everything she's done with, obviously, in bowling, because that's what she got in the Hall of Fame for.
Right.
It's pretty amazing.
Just going through when we were moving all her folders, I just couldn't believe the research and the notes and everything that she's done for, God, in bowling. She's been in bowling. Well, she's been in bowling obviously since I started, but it's just been incredible. And I think, to be honest with you, I think she really misses all her bowling friends and being involved and with everything going on out there right now. So, but yeah, she's doing pretty good. She's doing pretty good.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. So
now I went to go rewatch Joan's video. Nicely done, by the way, JT.
Oh, thank you.
And
it's easy when you have a good topic.
Right.
But one of the things I really took away from that, and you kind of alluded to it, was that your mom really didn't get involved in the sport until you started bowling. So kind of how did for a lot of folks it comes from the family when they get their start in bowling. So kind of tell us about your introduction to the sport, and obviously we know how your parents nurtured it to make you a Hall of Famer. But kind of talk about those first few years. What kind of got you on the lanes? What was how did you develop your passion for the sport?
Well, both parents bowled in. I think they bowled. My dad bowled 2 leagues a week. My mom bowled 2 leagues a week as well. And I actually started when I was 6. And back then we didn't have 6-pound bowling balls or small bowling shoes or. So I actually bowled with 2 hands. I just pick up the ball and run as fast as I can and just throw it.
So it's you that everybody should be mad at.
There you go. That's right.
The original two-hander.
I didn't get my first bowling ball till I think was 9. But because my parents loved it so much, and the friends that they made, and the camaraderie they had, and the bowling center, or I'm going to say bowling alley, because back then that's what it was called, the bowling alley, was the place to be. I mean, when I think about all the ties that they, the friendships and the ties that they had all over through the years, I guess it just rolled off on me, and I loved it from the first time I started. And I actually bowled with my older sister, who nobody really even knows about. I have an older sister, 4 years older than me, Debbie, and her and I bowled together. And then she wasn't very athletic, so she really didn't continue, but I did, and joined the junior league. And I think when I was 13, I bowled in a junior pro-am with the lady pros at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Oh, wow.
And I remember one of the women that I bowled with was Bev Ortner. And Bev Ortner had just shot the first 800 series. It was kind of like right after that. And I remember beating her, and she really didn't like that. And I reminded her that when I turned pro and I ended up bowling against her in a match play, I reminded saying to her, I bowled with you when I was 13. She didn't want to hear that either. But she was very gracious. And then when I beat her, it's like, so. But anyway, so after bowling in the junior pro-am, I thought, you know what, this is what I want to do. And I told my parents I wanted to be a professional bowler, and they did everything they could to help me. They would drive me to the lanes. I would go to the lanes after school every day and practice, bowl on Saturdays, stay all day and just bowl and bowl and bowl. And I remember when I got my license when I was 16, I would cut classes and go to the bowl and practice. And I remember my dad, he was there because his buddies were there. They would play golf and then go to the bowl and have a beer or whatever after. And I was there bowling, and my dad came over and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, I'm just practicing." And he says, "How come you're not in school?" I said, "Oh, I didn't have any classes." And I was, according to my dad, I was the saint. I was the saint.
So you never question it.
He believed everything I told him. So, and he never thought, no, Robin's never going to cut classes, so, but yeah, so that's pretty much, and there, my mom was the secretary of both my dad's leagues. They were the treasurer, they did everything. They had banquets after the league, and just as far as their passion for it, and like I said in the beginning, the friends that they made, I mean, it was like, how could I not want to be a part of it? And that's pretty much how we got started. So, and look at us now. I mean, I've been bowling 57 years. So
wow.
long time. Yeah.
Now I know you grew up in New York. We're pretty close to New York City, right? Close to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I actually was born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
We moved to Mamaroneck, New York, which is in Westchester County. So it's maybe 30 miles north of the city.
Yeah.
Bronx, Nershell. I don't know if those names are familiar, but yeah.
Yeah.
So,
when I was doing some research on your 20 greatest seasons video, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know where I always knew you as a California bowler, right? Because you were always the legend, where I grew up in Southern California, and I even bowled a league where your sister was the tournament director, the junior director, right? So that was kind of new to me. So my question is, was there a pretty big group of junior bowlers in that area at the time when you were growing up, and was there a lot of competition for you, when you were coming up?
There was a lot of competition in the program that I bowled in. I actually was the only one who continued to be a professional, and then actually Tori, also bowled in the junior program as well. But there were some girls that were pretty tough in the league, and because I was in New York, Cindy Coburn, and the Coburn family was from Buffalo, which was like 8 hours from where I lived, and we actually competed in a lot of like junior state tournaments, and it was always Cindy and I was always going back and forth, who was going to win the title, and our dads would be running back and forth, and that was it was just kind of awesome to watch, to see the dads, how proud they were of their daughters, and but as far as the junior program, I'm trying to think. My best friend, who actually lives in Connecticut now, Laura Grant, her and she bowled juniors, and she was a pretty decent bowler, and we bowled nationals together. Now I'm trying to remember what year, because we won the WIBC doubles that was held in Connecticut. I'm trying to remember. I can't tell you what year, but it was in the 80s.
87.
80s, yeah.
And, no, don't worry.
I have it in my notes. So
she came out of the junior program. So, but it was, it was. I mean, there were some girls that were pretty tough. I mean, we had 48 lanes in the center, and one side was junior girls, and the other side were the junior boys. So,
wow.
Yeah. And then I actually bowled in high school. We had high school bowling, Mamaroneck High School, and I only actually bowled, I think it was 2 years, and then they stopped it. But I was on I think I was on the junior varsity. I don't think I made the varsity at that time. But
I thought I remembered reading something about you winning the MVP of the high school team. Is that?
Well, I played softball, so I actually got the MVP in softball.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a center fielder. In fact, I have an article that said I threw somebody out at home plate from center field, and they said Robin Romeo, who can throw a bowling ball from center field to home plate. Kind of tied in the fact that I was a bowler, but I played softball. And when I turned pro, I stopped all sports because I was afraid that something was gonna happen. I was gonna get hurt, and I wouldn't be able to continue to bowl. In fact, I always wanted to ski, and I never skied. because I figured, you know what, if you go skiing, you're going to break a leg and then you're never going to be able to. So I never did ski because of that. Once I decided that was going to be my career, I thought, you just better cool everything else. So
yeah, that makes sense. I did also read that your family moved to California when you were 18, and initially you didn't move with them. Is that true?
That's not true. I don't want to say I was being stubborn, but my uncle, not to go into a whole big thing, but my uncle was in the film business, and he had moved from New York to California, and my mom at that time was a bookkeeper, and he wanted my mom and our family to move, and he wanted my mom to work for him in his office. And so they decided that my mom would go to California for about 3 months. If she could find a house, then they were going to move. And there were 5 of us in our family. So I'm the second oldest. And I thought to myself, well, they didn't even discuss it with us. If we wanted to move. I mean, Tori was taken out of school, and then my younger brother was only 12. So they really had no choice. But I was 21, so I could decide what I want. So my grandmother also lived in New York, so I moved in with my grandmother. And my older sister didn't go as well. So the 3 of us were the only ones who stayed. And then my mom found a house, and sure enough, they put our house up for sale, and they left, and I stayed back. But then my older sister, when we would go for the holidays, met somebody, and then she decided to move. And then it's like, oh God, now we all have to go. So that's how my grandmother moved, and then I moved, and that's how I ended up in California. So, but it was probably the best move as far as my career, because California had the Western Women Professional Bowlers, which was an unbelievable stepping stone for the tour, and the competition was incredible in California. And I mean, back then they would get well over 200 entries for a weekend tournament. And if you didn't get your entry in the day you received it in the mail, you were shut out. So that I think bowling those tournaments really helped me quite a bit, because I'm bowling against all the top players that are from California. So when I competed against them on tour, it wasn't like, oh wow, who's this? I already knew. So but yeah, it was probably the best move that my family made, and myself. But
now, Robin, and we've heard this so many times over the course of the podcast, just the strength of bowling in California. And can you just name a few of the folks who are out there competing on a weekly basis who eventually, went on to bowl on the tour, as well as, win Hall of Famers?
Well, as far as the Hall of Famers go, there's Donna Adamick, Nikki Janulius, Virginia Norton, Vesma Grinfels. Who am I forgetting? I think Pat Costello, but I think she might have moved to Florida. I think she still was in California at the time. Let's see. Who else? God, there's quite a bit of them. I'm probably forgetting. Help me out, guys.
I think you've listed about 70 titles already between the
yeah. I mean, it was just unbelievable. What the bowlers that California produced was just incredible. I'm sure I could. I'm trying to think who else was there. It'll come to me. I'm sure there's plenty more that I missed.
There definitely are. I remember all of them growing up as well, and I remember those WW events. They were huge. They were basically PWBA events.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Wendy McPherson was in San Diego, but I mean, she came later, but she still was from California. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the crowds that used to come out to watch those tournaments was amazing, because like you said, it was just almost like watching a tour stop.
Right. Right. They were fantastic. I do remember watching a bunch of them in person when I was a kid. One thing I was kind of curious about that when I was doing research on your 20 greatest was there was just some very odd stuff in the articles around, some of the titles that you won. Like, I know the first title you won was actually the last event of one of the tours, right? And
right.
So, I mean, what was that like when you were, a young up and coming player, and then the tours having all this upheaval and then changing over from one tour to another? How did that impact you, and what was that like?
Well, that was so it was the WPBA, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that was the Janet Bueller days. My first title, I actually bowled against Lisa Wagner. And what's interesting about my first title was I love trophies. And when we got, it was in Bradenton, Florida, and that was Lisa Wagner's home house. And I can't remember his last name, but his first name was Tommy. He was her coach, and he also owned the pro shop. And he designed the trophy. And the trophy was 5 feet tall. And I looked at that and I thought, oh God, I would love to bring that home, So because I'm sure she was the favorite, going into the tournament. And I remember I beat Nikki Janulius. No. I beat Nikki. I think I beat Nikki Janulius for the title, but I bowled against Lisa.
Yeah.
I think that's how it went. And when I beat Lisa, I know, definitely she was the crowd favorite. And so I remember I used the white dot. I used the Columbia white dot to win my first title. Now everybody uses them for spare balls or whatever. But I was playing third arrow, which wasn't really my favorite. I mean, I can remember that like it was yesterday, and I had to make a 10-pin to win. And taking home that trophy was like, I mean, I was more interested in the trophy than the money. And I think first place was like 3,000 then. But at that time, with all the turmoil because I remember thinking, oh my God, here I win my first title and I may never be able to bowl on tour again. And what am I going to do? And, it was just really crazy. And then here comes, John Falzone, did he come in that year? Yeah. 81, I think.
Yeah. 81.
Yeah. So it was right after that. So, but then we had the Rockford 5 problem with the tours. And that's when John Falzone took over, when we were in Rockford and the girls were going to boycott and because they wanted, what was his name now? Roger Blameyer. I mean, this is a long time ago, but that was when John Falzone took over. And I remember we boycotted in Rockford and all the girls, I mean, I don't remember how many bowlers. We all went into Pat Costello's room. There was Pat Costello and Judy Sutor, all the big wigs, trying to orchestrate this boycott. And all I wanted to do was bowl. And I remember calling my dad crying, saying, what do I do? What do I do? Because I want to bowl. I don't want to boycott. And he said to me, you have to do what everybody else does. And it's like, okay. So, and that's how the LPBT started. So it was kind of right after that that was crazy. Those are crazy times.
yeah, for sure. It's an interesting time. I mean, we kind of gloss over it in our 20 greatest seasons series just because, we don't want to confuse people.
Right.
Obviously your first title was a pro title and it's
right.
On your resume. So we just kind of avoid the topic, but there was quite a lot of stuff going on during those times for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It was quite the deal. But I mean, when John Falzone and John Summer took over, I mean, we like went like gangbusters and here, then I'm thinking, boy, you made the right decision. Bowling's just going to skyrocket. And, we had a lot of good years, and then, there were problems there later down the road, and then the LTPA, came into play, and yeah, it was a lot of stuff. But, even with everything that went on, the friends and the camaraderie and all of that, I mean, it's just incredible, the women that we have come in contact with, and these professionals and special people out there. And, if it wasn't for them believing in what they believed in, and the bottom line was everybody loved to bowl. That was it. We just wanted to bowl. That was it. And, we kept it going. So
yeah. Now, as you became a bigger and bigger star, I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about your the season that we featured on the 20 Greatest season, in 1989. But as you became a bigger and bigger star, were you asked to take on a bigger role, from a political standpoint? And did you ever get into that part of it?
I was very shy, so. I'm not going to say I was a follower, because when the time came for me to speak, I did. But I was never like the president or vice president or a director or anything, but I was always there to support anything that we needed to do. I did take a step back, but I never, I felt that as I became that person, I was asked a lot of questions on things, and I don't want to say I was always politically correct, but I never got myself in a situation that would be a detriment to me or the bowling, or hurt someone's feelings or something like that. So, I mean, I was always there to support, but I never was that voice. Now, if you ask my sister Tori, Tori and I are like night and day, where Tori is that person. And what's funny, you asked me that, because my mother always pushed me to be that person, but it just wasn't in me. I just, I always feel bad for people. I always want to help people, and I wasn't that person to take a stand and, say, go for it, so.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably why everybody likes you now.
I didn't step on any toes. But it's true though, but.
Yeah. I mean, you have I've been in bowling for my whole life, and I have still never come across somebody who doesn't like Robin Romeo.
Oh, that's nice.
And we have a few of your fellow PWBA players joining in the chat as well. So we'll throw a few of those quick messages up. Rachel Perez saying hello. Oh. Hi, Robin. Thank you for everything I learned from you, not just from bowling, but life in general. You're the best.
Aw, Rachel. Rachel and I roomed together for a couple of years. And yeah, I mean, we had some really good times. And, it's funny because you have your little group that you travel with, and then when there's a new person, you kind of have to set the rules, so, but I did it in a nice way. And Rachel and I, we've been friends ever since. And she's a great bowler in herself, and she's a great person. So thank you, Rachel.
And then one more here, Tammy Turner saying hello as well. Great bowler, honored to compete with her.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Tammy, I always felt bad with Tammy because she had that back injury. I mean, she would have been an unbelievable, she probably would have broke the title record. She was just incredible and an awesome game. And one of my titles at Samstown, I bowled against her, and I was the only one playing the gutter, and she's over there hooking the lane because I couldn't really play. I didn't hook the ball quite quite a bit, and she's over there hooking the lane, and I'm going up 5, and we ended up having a pretty good match. And but Tammy's a great person and a great friend and an awesome bowler. So thank you, Tammy.
Absolutely. And thanks everyone for chiming in here on the PWBA podcast. I know JT alluded to it once or twice, but 1989, really just an unbelievable season in general. 5 wins, and of course, topped off by the U.S. Women's Open. What was it like for you that season, just going through that, finding continued success? That's not too many folks have won 5 in a season. So, as that continued to happen, what was just, what were your keys to success throughout the course of that year? And what was it like just to be on that type of run?
Well, what's interesting is I had dislocated my shoulder a few weeks or maybe a month before that tour was going to start. And I actually didn't think I was even going to be able to bowl. And I don't even know how I had like a 3rd-degree separation. And I think it was bowling. It's funny. I think it was from bowling league. The lanes were really hooking, and I remember trying to throw it really hard. And the next morning I woke up and couldn't even move my arm. But I didn't practice that much. So I kind of went in the first tournament with not many, high expectations. I was just happy the fact that I could bowl. And then my mother was the one who got that California swing all started. She worked with the LPBT and with all the centers. So she was very, very involved in getting that California swing. So I just went out there and bowled. And when I won the first stop, I was like, holy cow. It just happened. While it was happening, I couldn't believe it was happening, because I kept thinking, wow, you didn't even practice. What did how does this happen? So as the weeks went on, I found that I was, I don't even know how to explain it, because you get yourself in this mindset, and the better you bowled, the better you want to bowl. So if that makes sense, like as I was bowling good, I wanted to bowl better. And it was like nothing was going to stop me from not making a cut or not making the show. And that California swing kind of set the tone for the whole rest of the year. And I mean, everybody talks about how you have an unbelievable season, but you don't expect it to happen. You go out there, you set goals, and every year I set my goals, and you don't expect things to happen. And as they happen, you got to get rid of all those little negative guys that are sitting on your shoulders saying, you can't keep bowling this good, or you can't keep doing this. So I tried to stay very, very positive and just not expect anything as I went into the next week. And it was unbelievable. And then to win the US Open was like the biggest highlight of my career, because there's a US Open in tennis, a US Open in golf. So when you tell someone, hey, I won the US Open in bowling, that's a big deal. It's so prestigious. Plus it was a lot of money, it was $40,000. And I remember going into that show leading, thinking to myself, holy cow, I have a chance to be a US Open winner. And that was, those shows were actually live on ESPN back then as well. And it was just, to bring myself back there is just like, it was just an unbelievable week. It was an unbelievable tournament. What happened the week before, we were in Baltimore, and I had made the show there, and I won the previous week. And the US Open was starting like the next day practice session. So we had after I won the tournament, we packed up the van, we drove straight to Illinois, and we were able to sleep a little bit. And Fran Deacon was the tournament director, and they kind of gave us a little practice session after the pro-ams were done that night and put us on C squad so we could kind of, because there was myself and Tori and Carol Norman and Angela Barracconi were the four of us that were traveling in the van. And so, and the shot was just unbelievably tough. And I remember that I think it took like 200 under to make the top 24 that. And I actually was the only one who averaged 200 in that tournament.
Yeah, I think you averaged 204 or 206 for the week in lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say just how, like, I think people, now that we're talking about this, like, they don't realize how big this, I think that year, maybe the 3-year stretch, 88 to 90, was probably the biggest, best time for bowling. It was the prize money was the biggest it had ever been. It was, you had more events than you ever had, on the women's tour. Again, more money. The competition probably was the best that it ever was in the history of the tour. And so I'm sure there was a lot of attention that came with all of that too, that added another element to, you're talking about people saying you can't keep this up. Well, nowadays you wouldn't think of it, but like the media was covering all these events, it was a big deal. Like people were saying, are you going to break the all-time earnings record? Are you
right.
Gonna, so there was probably all this extra pressure associated with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially coming in after winning the week before, there's reporters there that want to do articles and talk to you and I didn't, everybody's saying, wow, you're in contention for bowl of the year, which obviously is a goal of every professional bowler. And I didn't want to think about that. It's like, I go into each tournament, it's separate. It has nothing to do with the week before or the week after. It's what's happening now. And so I really tried and my head was in a good place. I was happy. And, we were having fun. And if you don't have good roommates and you don't have a good working car, it's everything. People don't realize, we had a grueling schedule then in traveling. Like we drove straight through to get to the next stop, and now it's a major, So there's so many different things, and sometimes getting on the lanes, just like, I can relax, So now you're doing what you love to do, and so there was a lot of pressure. When I think about it afterwards, I could say, oh yeah, there's a lot of pressure, but while you're doing it, you don't feel that, and I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, you have those little guys over here saying stuff to you, and but I try to keep a good positive attitude, and like I said, I didn't expect to do anything, and I just went in there. What happens, happens, and keeping myself in a pretty calm state of mind. I mean, one of the things that I think always helped me was the fact that I never got too excited when I didn't bowl good. I wasn't, a lot of people, and it's kind of a compliment. A lot of people would say to me, gee, Robin, I don't know if you're bowling good or bad because you don't show a lot of emotion. I think as I've gotten older, I've shown more emotion bowling now than I did when, say 1989. So it was unbelievable. And then after I won that, now it's like everybody's saying, oh, you're going to win bowl of the year. And it's like, oh my God, we still have another half of the year to go. There's still a lot of tournaments left, and anybody, I'm trying to remember, was it Lisa Wagner who was having a good year as well? I'm trying to remember if it was Lisa or Nikki. I can't remember. But there was another bowler that was kind of right on my tail. It wasn't that I had it locked up.
Yeah. Yeah. And she came on towards the end of the season too, right? And that event that you won later in the season was kind of, you had to win it to lock it up.
Right. Pretty much. And I think I broke the money record, winning that as well. So, but it was an unbelievable year for me. And when I try to bring myself back there, it's like, how did it even happen? You know, because like I said, you get into this, and I'm sure any champion you talk to has that same feeling of, you get into your head, and like, I always felt, I used to tell reporters, I used to feel like there was this halo around me that people couldn't get into my head, you know, and that's how I felt when I was bowling good. It was like, you could come and talk to me, I don't hear one word you're saying. And I always felt that, and that was just this feeling that I had. And when I think about it, when I try and put myself back there, it's like, holy cow, what did you just do? You know, because you're in this zone that it's an incredible, for anybody to experience it, it's an awesome feeling. You know, it's hard even to put into words. But
well, Robin, we'll give you an opportunity to take a look at it and put it into words. So we got some footage from the '89 U.S. Women's Open. So we'll go ahead and share that here.
Who's been a survivor? She wins 3 games thus far, and she finds herself in the biggest game of her life.
Taking on Michelle Mullen.
Yeah. I think the funny thing about my whole career is my hair.
It changed quite a bit over the years.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, I noticed that as I was pulling pictures.
Yeah.
And she comes out swinging in the championship game.
Now,
Michelle was a great competitor.
Danny, she's been sitting off in the wings for the past hour.
Oh my God!
And the lanes have changed. She did get 6 balls.
That was very style. That was very era specific with the style. You were definitely on point with the yeah.
So aggressive, and those were the tournament she lost.
Bang!
You could tell there was a little flow back there. There was so much oil on the lanes.
Well, you saw the score from the match before. It was like 178 to 168.
Yep.
You're just dead flush.
I saved that bowling ball, by the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I still have that bowling ball.
She needed it last time.
Plenty of roll. Is it going to get to the head pin? No. And Robin Romeo wins the Seagram's Coolers U.S. Open, $40,000, and it's title number 4 here in 1989. And it's the year.
I remember my dad was like all about the money, and I was like, no, I won the U.S. Open.
Well, the money was great. I mean, Seagram's came in. I mean, I remember being 16 years old at the time and thinking, oh, well, by the time I turn pro, you know, it's going to be $200,000 for first place, right? And so that's what I was saying at my last question was, that was kind of the pinnacle. That was where the hope in pro bowling continuing to grow was at its highest level. The competition was the most difficult, you know, the most number of people going out to try, you know, their hand at it. So the fact that you were the best, you know, at that time, you know, it adds a little bit of extra weight and credibility to what you accomplished, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think there was 200, and I think max was 204 at that tournament, you know, and and those, you know, those formats, it was 56 games, and I mean, it was grueling, and back then, you know, the conditions, you know, were really hard. You didn't have who talked about the carry down, or who talked about the burn? You know, those words were never even in our vocabulary. Then it was, to me, it was whether they were hooking or if they were tight. That was it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and at that tournament, we were able to scuff the ball. You were able to scuff the ball almost after every shot. Okay. And everybody was doing that because there was so much oil. You know, and so when I think back on, you know, some of the tournaments, and especially the majors were just unbelievable. You know, I mean, it just to make the cut in a major was a big deal because it was such a tough tournament and a longer format, you know. So
plus, I'm sure you were getting to make your dad even happier. Getting a huge incentives, right, for throwing equipment, you know, on the shows at that time.
Yeah, no, at that time I wasn't on any staff when I won the tournament, and that was a Ebonite Thunderbolt. So yeah, but the incentives for and the incentives for the majors were a lot higher than any other show, and yeah, and even the little LaMode outfits that we wore, I think there was a little incentive for that as well. But the we also, one of the shows in that year with the glasses, the blue blocker glasses.
Oh, yeah, the Canoga Park show. Yeah,
there were incentives for that, and I thought, well, what the heck, I mean, give it a shot. And it was funny. All the 4 tournaments, I think I made 3 of the shows. I wore the glasses because I thought, wow, this is pretty good,
Yeah, and then Pete Weber stole the idea from you.
Yeah, there you go.
So the original two-hander and the original PWBA.
Yeah.
Robin and Romeo all along.
That's right. Yeah, people don't realize that. Oh, that's funny. No, it was a great year, and yeah, I'll always have such great memories, and one of the things too, my sister Tori was with me during that year. She toured with me. So to have a family member there to share it with, was awesome. It was, she was my biggest fan, and it was pretty cool to have her travel with me during, the best year of my life as far as bowling.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Now you talked about, how special the majors are, and the Queens was one that eluded you. However, you were able to find success in the Senior Queens, becoming the first player to win the event 3 consecutive times. And I know I was looking back at some of the footage from 2014. You said you were working towards that moment to have the tiara for 35 years. Being able to win that, then win it 3 times in a row, and win it 3 times against Tish, all pretty incredible. What was it like being able to finally get to that pinnacle for that event in that format?
Well, the Queens, the regular Queens was, again, here we go back then. I mean, at that time there was like 480 bowlers, that bowled that Queens. And it was just a tough tournament because I remember bowling great and losing. Like, I had one match against Judy Sutar, I'll never forget. I shot like 690 something and she shot 706. And we had the entire bowling center behind us watching us. And it didn't matter how good you bowled, even now it's still the same, but I got knocked out bowling really good. And it's like, what do you do? How do you get to that TV show? And the first Queens I bowled, I'm trying to remember what year it was, but I made a TV show, and it was, my very first TV show was out of Queens. It was when St. Helen erupted. So we were in Seattle. Yeah. And I remember making that first TV show at the Queens, and I thought, oh, this is pretty cool, And then I don't know how many years went by, and I made my second TV show. I can't remember, maybe 10 years ago or something, when it was still a regular, before I bowled the Senior Queens. So, but it is a tough tournament. And I remember someone saying to me, all you have to do is win 6 matches. All you have to do is win 6, and it's like, you go out there and try and win 6 matches, I mean, it doesn't matter who you bowl. How many times do you see bowlers go out there and lead the field by a ton of pins and then lose their first 2 matches and they're done? That happens quite a bit,
Yeah.
So when USBC started the Senior Queens, I thought, wow, now maybe I'm not bowling against all those guys who used to beat me up yet, but yeah, so it was pretty awesome to even make the show for the Senior Queens, because I'm thinking, do I have a chance really to win? And I don't know if you and Tish talked about that, but Tish and I were kind of in the same area in California. And, she bowled league there and I bowled league there. And she had her fans and I had my fans. And I remember doing an article with a reporter talking about Tish and I being rivals. And I thought, I didn't know we're rivals. I didn't know that, And so the press kind of created that we were these rivals. And I thought, oh, okay, but I never felt that she was a rival, So, and I guess because we were from the same area, but when I won my first one, it was like, finally. And then I thought, well, are people going to think this is a big deal because it's a senior one and not a regular one? I still really wanted to win the regular one. But at that point, it didn't matter. I got the little tiara on my head. And
Tiara's a tiara.
Exactly. And, so to come out and then win again and again. And when I bowled against Tish the third time, I don't want to say I felt bad for her, but I thought to myself after I won, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I beat her again. And I think with me, I already had the title and she didn't have the title before. And I thought to myself, her bowling against me, I think she wants to beat me so bad that maybe that's why I beat her. You know what I mean? When you get yourself so worked up to beat somebody that it works against you. And I just thought, you know what, Robin, just forget who you're bowling, just bowl your one frame at a time and see what happens. And after the third one, I thought, holy cow, this is crazy. I honestly thought I was just going to keep on winning.
Well, you ended up you made the stepladder in 2017, but that's when the run came to an end. But
I don't even want to talk about that one. That was a horrible appearance on the show.
I remember that the third one. I mean, it almost like after you won it, it seemed like you were more concerned about consoling Tish than you were about celebrating the win.
You're right. I mean, it was the weirdest feeling. I felt bad because I thought, one of the things I always do is I put myself in other people's shoes sometimes. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I really felt bad. I mean, it was hard for me to get that excited because I thought, oh my God, I beat her again. Not that I won again. It's like, I beat her again. And I mean, she probably doesn't believe this, but I really, honestly, truly wanted her to win because I know wanting to win that title, to have that title, the pressure you put on yourself and the feeling, going through it and winning it. So I know that, I mean, I won it twice. It was okay if she beat me the third time, but I mean, she had a chance. And when I sat back there, cause I think she had to throw 2 strikes to beat me. And I was sitting back there thinking, she's not going to do it. And I mean, I shouldn't be saying this on live broadcast, but because I know that what she was experiencing inside, because she really wanted to beat me. And I was happy when she finally won. I really was. Not that I wasn't happy because she beat my roommate Jeannie, but, but I was happy that she finally won. I was happy for her because let's face it, she deserved to win. She absolutely deserved to win one of those times because she just bowled great, and when you're the leader, I don't care, how good a bowler you are. When you're the leader and you have someone coming off after being comfortable on the show and getting warmed up and knowing how the lanes are changing, I think you're at a disadvantage. Even though it's like, only one game, you're at a disadvantage. And you really have to come out attacking right away. Otherwise, you're not going to win, So I was very happy that she won. Really
it was a great example of the type of sportsmanship that we see in the sport. The year that you won the third time, I thought, just you could tell the empathy, in the way that you handled, talking to her after the match was over, and I'm sure she appreciates appreciates that and reciprocates that as well. It's kind of like, you see Magic Johnson and Larry Bird talk about each other and how much respect they have for each other now. It kind of reminds me of the same type thing with you two.
Yeah, I mean, I have the utmost respect for her, and she's an incredible bowler. She's a great person. Over the years, as we've gotten older, we actually became closer than we were when we first started bowling on tour together. And it's to be able to see her go out there and still have that passion and dedication and desire like I do, you appreciate that, and so for her to win, it was ultimately I was just so happy for her. Yeah, really happy for her.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment of being the one calling it on Bowl TV at over at Gold Coast for that one. That was definitely an emotional moment. You mentioned that she had to pick on your roommate, Jeannie Nacarado, to get that victory. Jeannie went on to win it in 2019, but you and Jeannie have had this amazing almost history as doubles partners. Looking back at the track doubles in 2000, and more recently, you guys have kind of owned that division at the Women's Championships, winning in 2014 and 2018. How do you guys work so well off each other, and just what's that bond like between you when you're out there on the links?
Well, Jeannie and I have been friends for over 40 years, and the track doubles, I think prior to that, the LPB or the LPBT, you weren't allowed to bowl with a champion. And when they came up with, you could bowl with a champion, it's like, we're roommates. Like, hey, let's bowl together. What's interesting about that tournament is Jeannie had lost her dad the year before. And then my dad passed away in March, and we had a bowl in May. And I actually was thinking about not bowling because my dad and I were really, really close. And I thought to myself, I don't know if I could go out there and bowl. And then I was having trouble with my approach, and I was getting like the yips where I couldn't go, and I would stand there too long. And I remember the week before, I missed the cut. I can't remember. I think we were in San Diego, and I missed the cut, and I went home, and I was married to Bill Masani back then, and I said to him, I need to do something, otherwise I can't bowl anymore. It was just a awful feeling. So he says to me, why don't you do what Barry Asher does? And I said, I don't know if I could bowl like that. He goes, well, try it. He just grabs the ball and goes, right? So I thought, all right, I'm going to do that. So I got up there, and I'm telling you, no exaggeration, I probably threw like 15 strikes in a row because everything just happened. I wasn't thinking, that my swing felt good. So I practiced a couple of days like that, and I got to Vegas, and I remember telling Jeannie, I have a new style of bowling. Don't ask me any questions. Just go with it. And she's like, okay. So we just started bowling, and prior to that, we decided we were going to dedicate the tournament to our fathers, and so we started bowling, and we bowled really good, and we made the show. And it's funny because we would kind of talk about the lanes a little bit, but not that much. Like Jeannie had her own way of adjusting. I had my own way. And especially with this new style, I just look down at the approach, figure out where I'm going to stand and just go. And so we kind of talked a little bit, but not really telling each other what to do. Once in a while we would say, hey, maybe you might want to change balls or whatever, but very rarely. So, when it came to the show, I just think karma was just in the building for us to win that tournament. I mean, it was, and I think that everybody, because if you look back at that show prior to the show, they had an empty spot where my dad would sit with his name. Well, when I saw that, it was like I was bawling my eyes out thinking, how can I go up there and bowl knowing that my dad would be sitting there? And so I think that just kind of gave us this feeling of inspiration and just go out there and bowl. And when we won, it was just, that was just unbelievable. It was everybody, even Carol Giannotti, when we were bowling against, I think they wanted us to win. We had everybody rooting for us, and even our opponents. And I'm thinking, I mean, they were just so happy for us. It was just an amazing day. And so when we started bowling nationals together, and again, the rule kind of changed for us to be able to bowl together. It was just, I don't know, because we know each other so well and we respect each other so well and we trust each other, that we just feed off of each other. If she was struggling, I kind of picked her up, or if I was struggling, she picked me up. And just that whole feeling of trust, I think, was more to it, why we became champions. And when we won the last one, that was like, my husband Tom says to me, boy, I didn't see that coming. Because I wasn't bowling that much. She wasn't bowling that much. And I didn't bowl good in the team event. And I was thinking, well, what are we going to do here? So I started the first game not that great. And she was throwing the ball really good. And I made a ball change. And then everything just came together. And it was like, wow, we just kind of, we shot numbers after that, and it was, and when I didn't even know what the lead was, she did. And when they told us, or I think it was you, Aaron, who came over, and so like, see, I can't even remember that. I was like, you're kidding. We took the lead. Are you kidding me? It was, and that was one of those things. We were just having so much fun that, I think that was why we won. We were just having such a good time and just, kidding each other and just bowling and like we were practicing, so, but it did come from left field. I had no clue that, if you would have told me at the end of the day, we took the lead in the doubles, I would say there's no way, with the way the scores were, especially the scores were so high that week.
Yeah, you guys needed 526 the last game, and then I think both of you had 8 out of the first 9. You shoot 278, Jeannie shoots 255 to eclipse the 1,400 mark, get to the lead, and then eventually win. That was your 6th women's championships title as well, 5th for Jeannie.
Right.
I have to admit, I was telling JT before we started that I've been involved with the women's championship since 2009, and I think you're kind of the superstar of that time. One of the first big interviews I got to do was when you shot 800 at the National Bowling Stadium in team event. You eventually took over all events. We took a picture outside the bowling stadium that I found somewhere, and I'll tell you, I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but I pulled it off well. They kept me around. But just so many great.
Well, you hit it very well.
But yeah, that obviously that event has seen a lot of success as well, and just so much history. Jeannie shooting 2-300s at the event, the title, just everything. And that group you bowl with is super fun, and that was another question I wanted to get into. I know Donna Connor's part of your nationals team as well. And you got to see her get inducted into the PWBA Hall of Fame in 2019. I know that moment had to be very special for you, but being a PWBA Hall of Famer, what was it like being able to see a new class get inducted after 15, 16 years?
Oh, yeah. I was so happy when it was brought back. But, thinking about that, when we were on tour, we always had a tournament when the Hall of Fame inductions were. So like, I never got to see Jeannie go in, or Carol Norman, or any of our peers, because, I would have loved to seen all of them go in, if we were able to. And I was so happy that the younger players got to be there and see, these legends go in the Hall of Fame, because it's a special, it's an honor. It's a special event. It just shows the history. I can't remember who I was talking to, but someone said, wow, when they saw like Wendy's history. It's like, wow, I didn't even know, they don't know a lot of this stuff. So now that they're able to come to the dinner and see these legends go into the Hall of Fame, I mean, I wish we were able to do that back then. So kudos to you guys for definitely having it, during the Queens. And I hope that continues, because these young players need to see, who came before them and what their accomplishments were and everything. But as far as Donna and I knew Donna years ago when she didn't bowl like full-time on tour, but she was always a competitor when we bowled in Texas. And she was a great bowler. And I know she made a lot of regional tournaments and everything. And I became more friendly with her through Carol Norman, because then they opened up their pro shop in Houston. And I was very impressed with her, how do I want to describe her? Tenacity and her dedication and just her ability to make things happen. And she had told me about the Lucy tournament, and I always heard about it, but I didn't really know much about it, and how she started that event. And Tom and I bowled, I can't remember the first time, probably in 2006 or 7 or something. You probably know that, right?
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah.
Just to see what that tournament has become. I mean, it is like the class of the class doubles tournament in the world. And to have all the PBA players and all the PWBA players come out all over the world and bowl that, and the time and the dedication and what she does for bowling in itself. She didn't go in for her actual bowling skills. She went in for the life of dedicating herself to bowling. And it was fun being there. I was ecstatic for her. I knew how much it meant to her privately, deep down inside, because you think about being in a Hall of Fame, but you never think about, like when I was younger, I never thought a Hall of Fame you could get in for just things that you do. I always thought you had to actually be an athlete and perform or bowl. I never thought that you could get in for just your service to the sport. And just that alone, just what she's accomplished with that tournament and helping people. And she's an amazing woman. And anybody out there who knows her knows what a great person she is, and how she would do anything to promote the sport. And I know she's dying to get that tournament going again sooner than later. And I hope that, the bowlers still continue to support it, because it's just an unbelievable event.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned a lot of stuff there about, kind of the history, and the importance of it. And, you brought up Wendy as an example, and I remember one moment from the Hall of Fame where Jason Overstreet talked about her 15 consecutive TV appearances, and the young players, their jaws dropped because they were doing the math, and it's like, well, that's more than a whole season's worth of consecutive TV appearances for us. Right. And then like your record of 77 consecutive match play appearances and 80 consecutive cashes. I actually think the 77 match play appearances is the more impressive. But talk about why, and then it's kind of a big question here, but we talked to Tish about how, the ceasing operations of the tour affected her. So I want you to talk about that a little bit, but also why it's important, that it's back, that the tour's back, and, why it's important that the younger players and younger fans of the sport know the history.
Well, first of all, there's, to have that gap, you think about even the girls that were still in their prime when the tour ended, now it's like, I know a bunch of them went home and had kids, but it's like, what do you do? Because like when I think about me, it's like when we talked earlier, what if the tour ended? Then what do I do? You know, I didn't finish college. I mean, that's another story I could tell you, but I didn't finish college because I wanted to bowl. That was it. And so the fact that it is back, and I remember the first PWBA event I bowled when it came back. And I was looking around, it's like, holy cow, look at these boulders. They are unbelievable. I mean, my very first tournament, there were a few people that were like that. Now the whole squad was like that. And I'm thinking, it was incredible. I was so impressed with these girls' games. And I'll tell you the one thing that they're not intimidated. You know, like I remember bowling my first tournament, I was pretty intimidated by these names. Like even Donna Adamick, we're the same age, but she was out there before me. You're intimidated. These girls are not intimidated. They know their job and they know how to get it done. And their games and it was just, they're in shape, their game. I mean, everything was just, the whole picture to me was just incredible. And so for that alone, it's like, I'm so happy that these girls, because I know if they have the passion that I had, which I know they all do, it would have been horrible not to have bowling for women out there. So it's unbelievable that, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. That these girls have it. And it's sad because when this pandemic hit, I'm thinking, oh my God, what are these poor girls doing? And it's tough, but go back to the other question you asked me because I lost my.
Well, yeah, I was just wondering how the end of the tour in 2003 impacted you personally.
Yeah, well, I was pretty close to retiring back then. I was really struggling with my game, and I thought, and I saw the writing on the wall, and I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I'll retire before bowling makes me retire, which I did. I missed, I think I missed one swing, and then it ended. And I thought to myself, how could this happen? There's gotta be someone around that can just start this back up. But at that time, I didn't have any other thing to fall back on. My husband and I bought a bowling center in Tarzana, California, and he was the owner of 2 bowling centers prior to us getting married. So we had that. And even still, I thought, well, if I retire, I could go work in the center. And he goes, no, you don't have to, So I was, one of those that I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I gave lessons and, did that kind of stuff. But I was lucky, I was lucky that I was married, and I had a husband that could take care of me. And B, I was kind of ready mentally to stop bowling for a while. I did stop for a little while because mentally I think I was fried from not bowling good. I was kind of upset where the tour was heading, and I just thought, maybe it's just time I stop. And 10 years ago, if you would have told me I would have stopped bowling, I would have said, no way. No way. But I felt that, someone's going to pick it up soon. Someone's going to pick it up soon. And then I'll get back going and kind of rejuvenate myself. And it was sad that it took so long, but I'm happy that USBC came in and saved everybody, so to speak. I wish, if you really want to know my honest opinion, I wish the formats were different. I wish they got to experience what we got to do, only because, and not necessarily more about the traveling and the camaraderie that we all created. That's really what I wish, because traveling after a tournament, loading up the van with 40 or 50 bowling balls, and driving all night and traveling all over the world. Those girls don't get to do that.
It's because we spoil them. We put their balls on the truck for them. We get it to the next place.
Yeah, you make it easy on them. I know, but I didn't mean it in a bad way. I just wish that
no, I understand.
Our camaraderie was incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Tish talked about that as well. I mean, I think there certainly is some of that on tour. And I remember the first year that we brought the tour back, that was probably the thing that the players that went out and bowled were thankful for the most, was just the ability to travel around, see the country, be with their friends. Yeah. Of course the bowling was awesome. They loved that part of it, but it's just different. It's a different era. I mean, people are on their phones all the time now. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been really fantastic, and I couldn't agree more with your thoughts about the players and how much they have their stuff together. And I mean, all the players now are college graduates, and they're all sharp and smart, and they know, everything about RGs and diff and what ball to throw and lane patterns and stuff. Like you said, you didn't even know there was a pattern, really. I mean, you knew they were hard or easy, and you just bowled. No,
you're right. And you're right, though. And well, obviously it's such a different time with the equipment now. And they all, I think I had 2 bowling balls the first, tournament I bowled. And like you said, you were either outside or inside. That was it. There wasn't all this other stuff that you had to fight,
and you stayed there the whole week.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have to play out at the beginning and then in and then out.
Right. So you knew what was coming, basically. But but I mean, you can tell how intelligent they all are, even just when you speak with them when they're at a tournament or on the TV shows or whatever. They know their stuff, and they're very well studied. And I remember my coach said to me, "Okay, now this is how you change out a finger grip." So so he showed me some of the things. He said, because when you're out there, you're on your own. Well, now you have a truck, and people do a lot for you, and so it's a different time, but to me, like I said, the most impressive thing are their games. They're so well developed and practiced and coached, and I mean, you could go on and on and on. It's just amazing. It really is. It's kudos to all of them. They're fun to watch. They're fun to watch, and I feel old when I bowl with them. So I'm not when someone told me I could be their grandmother, it's like, oh no.
Oh no. I'm sure you still beat your share of them, though.
Well, anyway. Oh God. But
so
Aaron, you want to ask the question?
I think we're kind of getting to the end of the show here, so got all of our notes pretty much checked off from the list. So and we know how busy you've been, obviously moving to Las Vegas and everything. So we may have to adjust this question a little bit. Usually the final question is, what are your binge watch recommendations? Have you guys been a little bit too busy for that? We see The Godfather over your right shoulder there.
Right.
We know your taste in movies is.
So maybe some favorite movies for the folks at home that you would highly recommend, or if you've been able to binge watch a few things, if you could share those with the.
I'm gonna end up showing my age if I say a few things. It's funny because Tom and I love sports. So when sports was off the air for those couple of months, like holy cow, I became a Golden Knight fan. I never really paid attention to hockey, but for some reason I became this Golden Knight fan. But my day is pretty busy, so I really don't really get to watch much TV. And by the time my evening winds down, I'm like plopping myself in bed pretty early. So I actually watched the Golden Girls.
Oh wow.
Nice.
It's a great show.
It is.
Yeah.
I watched the Golden Girls, and I watched Frasier, and Seinfeld, all those kind of old. I could watch those reruns over and over and over and over and over again. In fact, speaking of The Godfather, we just watched The Godfather 2 the other day.
Okay.
Anytime it's on, I'll just watch it. It's just incredible.
It got a mention in one of the 20 greatest seasons videos recently.
Really?
It came out. It was Pat Costello's. That film came out the year that she had her great season. So
okay.
Yeah, it's still the greatest movie sequel of all time.
Yeah, the only kind of Netflix thing we watched was my niece told me about Tiger King. So I did.
Oh yeah, that was a popular one.
I did watch all of that, but I'm not up to date on a lot of the newer shows. But I'll watch any of the, like Tom, where we love the mafia type movies, Goodfellas was on all week. I mean, I think he had it on every night it was on.
Yeah.
And we always watch those. Casino, I think he was watching last night. So we're always watching.
Did you watch The Irishman?
Yes, we saw that.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys like that one.
Yeah. And, but as far as I was, a while back watching Blacklist, but I kind of wasn't able to continue that. So it's been a little hard to really recommend anything good, but I put the Golden Girls on for my mom yesterday. They were on from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock on TV Land. So she watched it all day long.
Golden Girls marathon.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, only the people our age are really gonna. I should say my age. Sorry.
No, I'm right there with you. Aaron's a little bit younger.
Yeah, can appreciate some of those older shows. It's just, what? Those are the shows you just kind of watch. You could unwind, you can laugh. Not much stuff going on in it that you don't have to pay attention to. So they're relaxing for me anyway. So yeah, yeah. So.
Good stuff. Well, it's been a real pleasure getting a chance to catch up with you. I haven't had a chance to talk to you much in the last, couple of years, really, since your Mom's Hall of Fame video. But,
right.
But yeah, it's always great talking to you. I mean, like I said, I still haven't run into anybody who says they don't like you. And I pretty much know everybody in the industry. So,
well, I appreciate that. That's something that I could be very proud of. It's special. That's very special to know that. And thank you for that.
You're welcome. But yeah, what's up next for you, bowling wise?
Oh God. Geez, I don't know. I mean, if things settle down, maybe are we going to have a senior queens? It's pretty scary. California hasn't opened any of their bowling centers yet, and it's horrible what's going on there. And I think there's 47 states that are open, and California is one of them that's not. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with bowling. It's scary. It's really scary that it's a problem right now. So. I would love to, I've had so many people ask me, are you going to bowl again? And I don't know. If this is how my career ended, then I'm okay with it. I'm not going to.
You said you don't need practice, right? Before 1989 season, you didn't.
Oh my God. I don't know if the body, a year and a half is a long time not to throw. People don't realize that don't bowl. You go out and bowl 3 games, your body's going to hurt. And they don't realize that. They think, it's so easy. But even me bowling my whole life, if I go tomorrow and bowl 3 games, I'm going to be sore the next day because now I'm using muscles that I haven't used in a long time. So, one of the things that I always try to stay up with is staying in shape. So, I mean, that I think has always kept me as far as longevity with my bowling is trying, you got to keep your legs strong. As long as you keep your legs strong, then you're going to be able to keep bowling. So, but yeah, so as far as bowling, I don't know. I mean, it's a big question mark right now, and we'll see. We'll see. I might have to drop weight or something, though.
Yeah. We'll work on getting the senior queens back up and running so we can see you bowling again.
Yeah. Well, I can't promise you, but if I don't bowl, I will definitely come and say hi. How's that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Well, I really appreciate this, guys. This is quite an honor to speak with you, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much, and stay in touch.
Yeah, we did as well.
Yeah,
we do the same.
All right, you guys take care. Thank you so much.
All right,
thanks, Robin.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was Robin Romeo, ladies and gentlemen. That was a pleasure. I always enjoyed talking to Robin. I grew up, like I said earlier in the show, Aaron, I grew up in Southern California. She was always out on tour, so every now and then you'd see her. It was like seeing a celebrity, right? And so I would see her from time to time practicing at Canoga Park Bowl. I bowled a tournament, a junior tournament there, and her sister Tori was the junior director. So we'd get like a celebrity sighting every now and then when Robin would come in and practice for getting ready for the next tour swing. But she was always so nice to everybody and so helpful, and she's just always been that way. And it's just interesting to hear, her talking to, Joan and just have completely different personalities. Joan, Robin's mom, and how she's, Joan's this, very, very outgoing, friends with everybody, but someone who's always pushing. And then Robin, I'm sure she has some of her mom's ambition in there. You can't be as great as she was, and is, without, having that desire to want to be great at something. But then, she has the other side of the personality where she wants, to hug Tish after she beats her for the third time at the Senior Queens. So just a really fantastic person that I always enjoy getting a chance to talk to.
Absolutely. A great bowling family in general, as you mentioned, Joan, of course, Tori as well. Yeah, I kind of brought it up on the show that 2009 Women's Championships was my first year working as I wasn't even a full-time employee. I was just a contractor. And, that was a big deal to me. That was like the Robin Romeo. Wait, I get to work with her. And she was awesome. And the whole team was awesome. Jeannie was on that team. We talked about Donna and Carol, part of that group as well. So that was super fun. Of course, she went on to win. Gotten to see a lot of awesome things from her in the past 10 years as well. So that's been pretty awesome to see. Always great to catch up with her. And as you mentioned, there's not a person in the bowling industry who has a bad thing to say about Robin, and that is certainly true. She is awesome. One of the best ambassadors we have for the sport.
And a legend. She's a legend. And the thing that's funny is, sometimes I forget because she's so nice and she's so friendly. You forget what a big legend she is, and but man, she is. She absolutely is. First ballot Hall of Famer, and even better person.
100% true. JT, coming up for the rest of the week here on Bowl TV. We'll have Inside the OC on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Matt Cannizzaro and I will be talking to 2019 regular singles champion Mitch Beasley, who's also had some success on the PBA Tour as well. So it'll be fun to catch up with Mitch and find out how he's doing. I know we have a special edition of the Sport of Bowling show on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Andrew Kane, former USBC president, will be talking with Deputy Executive Director Jason Overstreet. They'll be talking some equipment specs changes, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting conversation. It's a great week on Bowl TV if you like equipment, because you're going to get a chance to hear Andrew Kane's perspective on equipment specs and all the recent changes, and just kind of the philosophy of that group, the Equipment Specs Committee in general, and how it functions. So that's very fascinating. It's a lot different than I'm sure you think it is based on reading Facebook comments whenever there's a rule change made. So you're going to want to check that out. And then on Wednesday we have a new episode with Lou Marquez of Bowling Explained, where we're going to talk about how to build an arsenal, and that's going to be a very fascinating conversation. I've done some some prep with Lou on that and where it's going to go. And if you're interested in that, I mean, from every level, from the beginner who just wants to buy one bowling ball, not even a beginner, like maybe just somebody who bowls league all the time, but only just wants to buy one bowling ball, all the way up to, competitive tournament bowler that, has 12, 14, 26 bowling balls in their arsenal. There's going to be some good stuff for you on that show as well.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. So that's kind of the week we have planned here on Bowl TV, folks. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the broadcast. Thanks again for joining us on Facebook, on YouTube, and, of course, right here on bowltv.com. Everyone have a great week. Be sure to tune in. Of course, Bowl TV, Bowling Lives Here. For Robin Romeo, Jason Thomas, I'm Aaron Smith. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.